You understand? From something that it looks like he was very angry. He didn't know what he did. Normally he would not do it, throwing tables that Allah gave him. You understand? So he was, Ibn Abbas said, look, when he heard it, he didn't do anything. When he saw it, the reaction, so he said that is not the saying of the Prophet, that is hadith from Ibn Abbas. He's saying some weak people made it the saying of the Prophet. So the yaqeen differs from one person to another. Definitely, those who say, for example, when they say iman doesn't increase or decrease, the way the Murji'ah say, that iman does increase and decrease according to when Ibrahim said he wanted to see the how Allah bring the dead to the life. Allah asked him, "Awalam tu'min? Don't you believe?" He said, "Yes, I believe." He believes it. وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. But to reach a level of what we call itmi'nan, certainty, something like that certainty. He is sure that it happens, but by seeing it himself, he will be even more. You understand? If he sees it, his iman will not be the same. It will be definitely more than. He has no doubt for now. The Mutaqaddimeen, the people of Kalam, they say it doesn't make sense. It's either iman or doubt, belief or shak or doubt. No, the belief can differ, but it's all still belief, and doubt is doubt. Now, those who take, this is just an introduction to Hasan. Those who say Hadith Hasan, you tell them, why do you call this Hadith Hasan? Why don't you call it Sahih? They say because the person who narrated, or the people who narrated it, or whatever, their memory is not that strong. And not being strong enough, that's mean they make mistakes sometimes. So if they make mistake, why don't you? It's done, it's doubt. You shouldn't take their hadith. They say the whole religion is doubt. All hadith ahad is doubtful, and you still take it. But we say no, the hadith ahad is not doubtful. Hadith that came from a person that Allah ordered us to take from, he has guaranteed that he will protect the religion, therefore it's not doubtful. So we take it with certainty, we have no doubt. When Malik narrates hadith from Nafi' from Ibn Umar, from the Prophet, we have no doubt that this hadith is the Prophet said it, just with the way we have no doubt about Quran. If someone says, yeah, but sometimes it has been proven that Malik makes mistakes, we say everybody makes mistakes. But the people that Allah ordered us to take from, those who understand the religion, meaning to take not their understanding, their narration, those who know what they are talking about and they memorize what they are talking about and they are trustworthy, we don't know anything bad about them, those people, if they make a mistake, then it is Allah has taken it upon him that he will protect the religion, that he will show that it's not our, you understand? He has taken it, put it on himself that he will protect the religion. So therefore he will show us that Malik. So if they say, okay, even the person who has doubts, it's the same person who we have doubt about, the person we call Hasan, or he makes mistakes. We say no, Malik doesn't make mistakes. A human being can make mistake. There is a difference between everybody can make mistake and someone makes mistakes. And if you say it's the same, then that's just call this person trustworthy, the way you call Malik and Sufyan Al-Thawri. And if you say no, that's mean you are making a difference between this and this. So generally this person is trustworthy, what he says is right until proven not. Just the way we say this is yaqeen, dhan is haram, until proven that you can use it. Same thing with this person is trustworthy. Everything that he says is everything that he says, he will not be lying or forgetting until proven otherwise. And then there is this person who we don't know when he is saying the right, when he is forgetting. That is the person who has doubt. And then another thing, why do you call it Hasan? So they call it Hasan for this reason, because it's doubtful. And then they will say, okay, we call it Hasan as well because so we know when to take it, when we don't, because they don't take it all the time. Not every Hadith Hasan is taken. They say Hadith Hasan, we will take it when it is not, it doesn't contradict the Hadith Sahih. But if it contradicts Hadith Sahih, then we will not take it. Okay. Now Hadith Hasan, if it's religion, then it will either affirm a Hadith Sahih. Someone have said that donkey is haram, and someone else have said the donkey, so the trustworthy person narrated from the Prophet with a chain that is fine, sahih, that the donkey is haram. Someone else, Hasan, narrated from another chain which is just doubtful, that the donkey is haram. This person has not contradicted, he just affirmed what the person said. We don't need him. We are already sure that the donkey is haram by the narration of the person who is trustworthy. Another person will narrate a hadith and he will contradict. One said it's haram, the person will say it's halal. One said, the trustworthy person said the donkey is haram. The weak person said the hadith narrated that the Prophet said the donkey is halal. So people will say, we are not going to compare this person to this person. This person is trustworthy. This person is doubtful, his narration, so are going to reject it because you contradicted him. Okay, now it's clear contradiction. But if you take it, everything is similar in the religion, is contradiction. Is either this person, one of the things that people will differ also when they talk about Hadith Hasan, they will say, person whose Hadith is Hasan, we will take him when, and we are talking about the latest generations, we are not talking about the previous generations. The previous generations don't know Hadith Hasan and Hadith, they have Hadith Sahih only. The people before Ahmad and later Hadith Hasan started. Before, when they say Hadith Hasan, they say this Hadith is weak. That's what they mean by Hasan. So, if they say, the latest generations will say this Hadith is Hasan, we take it if it's regarding Fada'il A'mal. So, Hadith Fada'il A'mal means something that has nothing to do with halal haram. If someone says so and so, if someone stays in the mosque after prayer, Allah will give him so and so. There is nothing haram and halal. Has nothing added. Staying in the mosque by itself is good. Someone who does dhikr, Allah will give him so and so. So they say if this hadith is not very weak, it just, we still take it. Because if you take it, nothing, there is no harm to the religion. Either you will get the reward that it is in there, or you don't. If you don't, you still get a reward for staying in the mosque anyway. So this is how they put it. This is how Ahmad say about the hadith da'if, and he is referring to the hadith Hasan actually. But this is wrong, because they are still saying about the Prophet what he didn't say. And then they say we take it in the ahkam, halal haram, if it doesn't contradict. But we never take it when it comes to the attributes of Allah. Many of them will say this, of the muhaddithin. Say if a man who is Hasan in the hadith, his hadith, okay, it's taken if it's haram, halal, as long as it doesn't contradict. But if he says, for example, that Allah has a hand, or especially the Ash'aris, such as the Shafi'is and the Malikis, or you understand, they say that hadith we can't take it because it's attributes of Allah, and we don't, such people we don't take from them. You understand? Okay, now what is the difference between attributes of Allah and ahkam of Allah? It's all talking about Allah without knowledge, and talking about Allah without knowledge, and we say knowledge is ilm, yaqeen. In the Arabic language, knowledge means to know something. To know something is you have no doubt about it. That is the definition of ilm. If you would, definition of ilm according to the Arabs is the opposite of the doubt. So, and Allah said, don't say about Allah things that you don't know. So that's mean if you have doubt about it, don't attribute it to Allah. So here, if someone says the dhan, the ayah that say the dhan is dhan rajih only, the dhan, the doubtful, 50%. But if it's 90%, that's fine, that dhan. But what about what are they going to do with the ayat that says don't say about Allah, concerned about things that you don't know? That is definitely, if you don't know it, that is doubtful. And if you have 99% sure about it, that's still doubt. It's only when you know it 100% that is the knowledge. And Allah said, don't say about Allah things that you don't know. So that they will have no answer for that. That is one. The other thing is everything that Hasan Hadith, a person who is Hasan Hadith, whose Hadith is like there is doubt in his Hadith because he is not very strong in Hadith, that person is contradicting the religion in a way or another, if he is not affirming what another person is saying. If he doesn't affirm, then he will be contradicting, because since the religion is complete, so everything is halal until proven haram, and they made this rule. If he contradicts, then he will be rejected. Now if someone, let's say no narrator ever have spoken about a goat or about a duck, whether it's halal or haram, and someone says the duck is haram, and you will say, oh, he didn't contradict anybody. No, he contradicted the Quran. The Quran says that Allah created for you whatever in the land, that includes the ducks, and that is halal, so it's halal. If someone says the Prophet passed by and saw a man leaning on his left hand, so, and he said this is the sitting of the Jews, or what are you going to say? Oh, he didn't contradict anybody here. There is no hadith that say you can sit this way. No, there is a ayah that says Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun, that Allah created you and whatever you do. So whatever you do is a creation of Allah. Nobody can stop you from doing what you are doing until he can prove that it's haram to do what you are doing. So that is the creation. This is how Allah, whatever a person is doing, that is what Allah wanted him to do. So if you want to stop him, you have to tell him this is haram, and show him that Allah doesn't want him to do that. Otherwise, this is Allah wanted him to do that. If someone is sitting, Allah created him and he's sitting. When he stand up, Allah created him and he created him, the standing of him. So to stop him, you stop him with the dalil. So anyone who is considered to be Hasan Hadith, his Hadith is contradicting or affirming. Affirming, we don't need him because it is already there. If he doesn't, then you just reject him. Yes? We are not talking about Ziyad Thiqa. Ziyad Thiqa will come later, and you are just going to mix up things. So you just have to understand that we have to go slowly, step by step. You have reached Ziyad Thiqa. We will talk about Ziyad Thiqa. I will talk with you one day. Nobody is here. طيب. Let's go now to the definition, what he says in the book about Hasan. Now, he says the second category, because we have spoken about Hadith Sahih. Now, the second category is Hadith Hasan.
Sorry. Who wrote this book? Who done this book?
Ibn Kathir. He says, وَهُوَ فِي الْإِحْتِجَاجِ بِهِ كَالصَّحِيحِ. In taking this hadith, whether to take it or to reject it, he said, it is similar to the Sahih. It means to be taken according to the majority. According to the majority, the Hadith Hasan is taken according to the majority. And he might have made a mistake, maybe he didn't know this, or probably he knew and he is either referring to the latest generations from Ahmad down, or he didn't probably realize that when the people before, when they were saying Hadith Hasan, they were saying Hadith Hasan meaning Daif, and there is so many proofs about that. So he said, and this kind of Hadith, because it is between the Sahih and the Daif, he says it is very difficult to give it a definition. Like, it has nothing to do, you can't give a definition to this hadith. Anything that in the religion that you can't give a definition, it's not, should be rejected. If someone tells you, this, Allah said this, but we can't define it, it's something that not clear, not, it shouldn't be part of the religion. So it means that thing, Allah left it according to the desire. Everybody can say, define it according to his desire. He said it's something because it's so difficult to give it a definition or to talk about it according to many of these people who work on hadith, to muhaddithin. So it is difficult not for the other people, no, actually for the muhaddithin to define it. Or he said it is because it's a matter which is relative. It depends on the person. He says it's something that just you feel it, and you might sometime you might not find the word to describe it.
What he's saying.
Yes. Well, sometimes you hear a hadith and you say, wow, is it possible that this hadith the Prophet said it? Now, that is something that you hear it and then you say, is it possible that the Prophet said it? You see, when you live with someone for a long time and you know him, if someone comes and tell you this person said so and so, you straight away deny 100% this person have not said this. I know him, I have been living with him and I know how he speaks. He doesn't speak this way. Everybody can make this decision. And people who study hadith, they have been studying the saying of the Prophet, and it's like, for them it becomes like they lived with him, so they know his character and they have a general idea about the religion. And sometimes when they hear hadith, they can, before they check the isnad of it, they can say this hadith the Prophet never said it, because it contradicts the core of the religion. But to come to the hadith and say this hadith is da'if because I don't like it, or I have the feeling, or
how about the wording? Some people say the wording, if the wording doesn't sound too...
the wordings, if the hadith, if someone says the Prophet said, for example, to the woman, Ya ma'ashara an-nisa kulu mimma razaqakumullah, for example. Say the Arabic language, the Prophet was Arab. In the Arab language, when you talk to a woman, you don't say kulu, you say kulna. Understand? So now you start, when you find sometime hadith, when you hear it, you just try to find who is the person who made the mistake, and then it's so clear that it is mistake. But there are many hadith, when we say hadith, when they refer to Hadith Hasan, is because you can't make that decision. It doesn't contradict the religion. You understand? It doesn't contradict the religion. It's possible that the Prophet said it. It's possible he didn't. Now, how are you going now to make this judgment? Is it based on, you hear hadith, but you have no clue. The wording resembles to the wording of the Prophet. the saying, the Prophet might have said it. And then, but now I will decide whether this hadith is sahih or not. Hasan, I will just, you understand? I will say it's Hasan or Da'if, because Hasan and Da'if are very, they will say Hasan and Da'if are very similar. Not Hasan and Sahih, no. But Hasan and Da'if are very similar. So, because the person who is Hasan we are sure that he has hadith that are Da'if. And sometimes, maybe not the person who is wrong, who makes mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes all the time. So maybe he said the truth here. Maybe he said what he said here is right. But how do you know that? Since you can't verify it, then it is doubt. Doubt has to be rejected.
So Ibn Kathir was saying sometimes you just have a feeling.
Yeah, he says the hadith. He says it's question of feelings. There are some people who say it about the illah, it's feeling as well. Illah, like this hadith is, there is narrated from Abu Zur'a and Abu Hatim that Abu Zur'a was asked, how do you know that hadith is weak? Is ma'lul. Sometimes there is a hidden defection in hadith. He was told, how do you know that? He said, I can't explain it. It's something that I feel. And then so the person asked him, so how can I verify that? He said, you ask me about hadith, and then you go to Abu Hatim or Muslim bin Wara, you ask him about same hadith, we will tell you that it is weak, but if you ask why, we will not be able to explain it. And that is not true. Yes, you feel the hadith is da'if, but when you look, either you will find it to be da'if and you take it, but you don't have to follow the feelings of people. Even if 100 people have felt this hadith is da'if or this sahih, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, you have to, every time people have had the feeling that this hadith is da'if, it was because the people who narrated it are da'if. You understand? Nobody can feel that the hadith that is narrated by Ibn Umar or Sa'id bin Musayyab or Nafi' or Malik, people don't have feeling, oh, this hadith is da'if. They feel this with the people who are, that they shouldn't take their hadith from the beginning. From the first place, their hadith shouldn't have been taken. So he said, a lot of Muhaddithin tried hard to define it. So many Muhaddithin tried to define the Hadith Hasan, but they couldn't. He said, Al-Khattabi say, the Hadith Hasan is the Hadith that it is known where it came from. So you have established where it comes from. That is Hadith Hasan. How do you know where Hadith comes from? If it's connected, then you know the Hadith where it comes from. You understand? If it's connected, one person from one person is all connected. And وَاشْتَهَرَ رِجَالُهُ, and the men are known. So whether they are known to be trustworthy or they are known to be so and so, that's middle. He said this hadith is considered Hasan. He said he will answer to him this, of course, because this hadith, this definition doesn't make sense at all. But he says the hadith that is where it came from is known. Because if hadith is broken in the middle, you don't know where it comes from. If we have hadith from Malik, from Ibn Umar, now Malik is trustworthy and Ibn Umar is trustworthy, but who told Malik? This hadith we don't know from where it came. Maybe the person who told Malik is a liar and made it up. It never existed. It's possible. The hadith actually, Malik being one of the most trustworthy people in hadith, when we say most trustworthy, we don't know anything about him to make him fasiq. and in the other what it's known for him, that he will write hadith and he care about protecting his books, and when he narrates he looks at the book. So he was very careful. So still in his book he will say, I heard that Ibn Umar said so and so from the Prophet, or I heard it has been transmitted to me that the Prophet said so and so. And this, wherever he says this, people will try to find where this hadith comes from, and they don't find it. So definitely it has no basis at all. So this hadith, we don't know where it came from. The makhraj of it, where it came from, doesn't. Even hadith of mudallis, someone who is not known, who narrates from people but he play around, like Sufyan Al-Thawri, he will make tadlis. He will say so and so said from so and so, but he doesn't mean that he heard it himself. He might have heard it from someone who is untrustworthy. This hadith is not known where it came from. So the definition of Khattabi here, عُرِفَ مَخْرَجُهُ, the hadith that's known where it came from, doesn't cover the hadith which is the chain is broken. It is also, he added here, وَاشْتَهَرَ رِجَالُهُ, and the men are famous, not trustworthy, but famous, are known. So maybe known to be trustworthy, maybe known to be so and so. He definitely won't mean the men are weak. And if someone is unknown, then still you don't know where it came from, because the man is unknown who narrated it. So the fact that he said the hadith is famous, the men of the hadith are famous, that is just a confirmation to the first part, that you know where the hadith comes from. And he says this is the majority of hadith. The hadith Hasan, really, if you take it, is a lot of hadith. The hadith Hasan, when we take hadith Hasan, which is Hasan for itself, because the narrator who narrated it this is hadith Hasan, we call it Hasan li dhatihi, Hasan for itself, because the narrator who narrated it is neither weak, neither trustworthy. He is 50-50. Or 60% trustworthy, or 70% trustworthy. And then there is the person who is weak, 10%, 20% trustworthy. So if a person who is weak narrates hadith, and another person who is weak narrates the same hadith, then this hadith will become Hasan according to the majority. That will be Hasan li ghayrihi, Hasan for one helping the other, like one holding the other. So, and one weak and one weak, so they help each other. So they say they become Hasan for others. This is Hasan because of this, and this is Hasan because of this. If we take the Hasan li dhatihi for itself and Hasan li ghayrihi, these are the majority of the hadith. Most of the hadith are placed under this category. The hadith Sahih is very limited. So he says this is وَعَلَيْهِ مَدَارُ أَكْثَرُ الْحَدِيثِ. He said the majority of hadith are this category, which is Hasan. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَقْبَلُهُ أَكْثَرُ الْعُلَمَاءِ. And he said the majority of the ulama accept it. وَيَسْتَعْمِلُهُ عَامَّةُ الْفُقَهَاءِ. And the majority of fuqaha use it as well. Now, Ibn Kathir answered to this definition. He said if the definition of the hadith Hasan is whatever is known where it came from, and the men are famous, he said all hadith Sahih come under this definition. Every hadith Sahih comes under this definition anyway. So there is no, so the hadith Hasan according to him is the hadith which is Sahih also.
According to who, sorry?
Khattabi. No, he defined hadith Hasan only by this. But when he says the hadith that is known where it come from, that is definitely hadith Sahih, we know where it came from. And the men are famous. that is hadith sahih. If they are not famous, we don't take their hadith.
Can someone say in his istilah?
Yeah. No, Khattabi doesn't mean Hadith Hasan is Sahih. He differs between Hadith Sahih and Hadith Hasan. So this is something, a mistake. Definition, and people have problems when they define things. So he said, if he mentioned that, he said the Hadith Sahih comes under that category. Not that only, but Hadith Da'if as well comes under that category. Because Hadith Sahih, Hadith Da'if, you know where it comes from. You understand? The truth is, Hadith Da'if, you might not know where it comes from. Because Hadith Da'if person might think that this Hadith came from this and he narrated that way. That way we don't take Hadith Da'if. Because we don't know where it came from. If we know where it came from, if we trust that person and we know where it came from, then it's fine. But the problem is we don't know. He might have heard Hadith from so and so, he said the Hadith is said it so and so. He said also the da'if is the same. He says if the rest, if he said if the ta'rif, the definition is only the first part, the hadith that you know where it came from, and the men are famous. And then he went also to say that this is the majority of hadith, the majority of fuqaha accept it, the majority of fuqaha use it. He said if this rest is also part of the definition, then what he says is not to be accepted just like that. Is like debatable. He says to say that the majority of hadith is from the Hasan, that is debatable. And also the fact that the majority of ulama and fuqaha use it, he said this is also debatable. So now that is he accepts that the definition of Hasan is not really something that is accepted. That is people have been able to bring a definition for it. The difference, when it comes to the difference, the majority of differences in hadith, it comes in the Hasan. What one person considers to be Hasan, the other will consider it to be da'if. And even people have followed the rules that Shafi'i has set at the beginning when defining Hadith Hasan, even though it is not known that Shafi'i is not Muhadith, but he made some rules to accept Hadith. And it has been, these rules are followed because the majority of Muhaddithin, the truth is, the majority of Muhaddithin are Shafi'is. Most of the books, yes, the majority of we are not talking about the people who narrate hadith, people who speak about mustalah al-hadith, such as Ibn al-Salah, Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, what's his name, Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Hajar, Sakhawi, Al-Dhahabi, Al-Mizzi, all these people are Khattabi, all these people are Nawawi, all these people are from the Shafi'i madhab. So the majority of them are the Shafi'is really when it comes to hadith. So he says here the definition now of Tirmidhi for Hadith Hasan. He said, Ibn Salah said, we have narrated from Tirmidhi that he mean by Hasan what Tirmidhi means by Hasan. Tirmidhi defined Hasan in his book. He said that Hadith Hasan is the hadith that in the isnad, in the chain of narrators, there is no liar. So if hadith in the isnad, there is no liar in the isnad, and this hadith is not shadh. And what is shadh is odd. According to the people who of hadith, shadh is odd, is one person narrating, a trustworthy person narrating hadith, where he contradicts someone who is more trustworthy than him, or a group of people. So like for example, hadith, which hadith we use normally, so I like to repeat always the same example so you memorize it. which hadith we are using? We used to use about shadh. You don't remember? Okay.
The one
No.
Abu Hanifa one.
No, that is tadlis. Okay, this is hadith which is shadh. Malik and Ubaidullah bin Umar. Malik is one of the best narrators from Nafi'. Ubaidullah bin Umar is one of the best narrators of the hadith of Nafi'. That is because he is his family. So this is two people who memorized the hadith of Nafi' perfectly. They narrated from Nafi' from Ibn Umar that the Prophet was asked about what person who goes to Hajj should wear. So the Prophet said that the person who is in ihram should not wear a qamis, not a imama, turban, not a burnous, hood, and not trousers. And they said, and Ibn Umar said, look, this is what the Prophet said, this is what Ibn Umar said, that a woman should not wear gloves and niqab. This hadith is in Bukhari. So this is clearly Prophet said something and Ibn Umar made his own judgment about the woman. So that is not the Prophet saying. Now Al-Layth ibn Sa'd, he is trustworthy, but he is not as good as Malik, as also like Ubaidullah ibn Umar, especially when it comes to Nafi'. Nafi' is from people of Medina. Malik see him a lot, he hears from him a lot. Al-Layth ibn Sa'd from Egypt, he will see Nafi' occasionally. Now he will hear the hadith, he will hear this once, and people when they talk sometime, you see that sometimes a person might say something and then he goes continue with it, like the Prophet said, Ibn Umar said that the Prophet have said the muhrim, the person in ihram, should not wear the gloves, the hoods, the qamis. And then he said, and the woman, then he said who? And then he said a woman should not. So he will take it as, and then the Prophet said, but the truth is what Abdul Nafi' meant, and then Ibn Umar said. You understand? So this is, it happens when someone like Malik and Nafi' and Ubaidullah bin Umar here, that is why we accept their narration and rejected the one of the Layth ibn Sa'd, even though he is trustworthy. We say this is two people, not only two against one. On the top of that, these people are more close to the narrator and they might have heard the hadith over and over again. And the other reason is the person who put the hadith all together in one category is more likely that he has been mistaken. The person who divided it, he said the Prophet said this, and then Ibn Umar, it looks like he was more careful and he heard it and he understood it properly. So the hadith of Al-Layth ibn Sa'd here, we say, because Al-Layth ibn Sa'd is trustworthy, the name that it was given to his hadith is shadh, odd.
So but it won't make him weak?
No, it wasn't. No, mistakes. It's not a mistake that he has bad memory or something. He heard and he didn't understand properly something. You understand? Yes. Yes, this is what we call qarina. I don't know what's qarina in the indication. So this indication and what these indicated that this hadith, we look at the indications when we judge the hadith. So that is shadh. So definition of Tirmidhi for Hadith Hasan is any hadith that in the isnad there is no liar, and this hadith itself is not shadh, and it has been narrated from many different, from more than one narration.
Then he will call it Hasan.
Then he will call it Hasan. every hadith sahih falls into this category. Huh? The hadith sahih, we have no liar in it. There is no shadh, because if there is shadh then it's not sahih anymore. And okay, maybe some hadith sahih is narrated from one narration only, but the majority of hadith sahih come from different hadith ahad. It's not like when we call hadith ahad, it doesn't mean it came from one narration. It comes from 1 or 2, 3, but majority of hadith ahad you find them that they come from more than one narration, not to the point where it becomes mutawatir. Yes, but the hadith that are come one single narration from the beginning to the end, it's so rare. It's very difficult to find hadith like this. And even if he means by that it comes from more than one sahabi, it's still. Also, even the hadith da'if falls into this category. Many of hadith da'if fall into the category. They are not shadh, because there is nobody who narrated it in a different way, and there is no liar in it, because if there is a liar, then they will put it as da'if jiddan or mawdu', and it's narrated from many narrations there, or many hadiths. So he didn't bring any new, he didn't define the hadith hasan. He says, Ibn Kathir says, and this, if it is narrated from Tirmidhi, in which book Tirmidhi said it? Like he is contradicting Ibn Salah. He say, now Ibn Salah is making claim that Tirmidhi said it. If he says that Tirmidhi said it, which book Tirmidhi have said it? That looks like Ibn Kathir has never read Tirmidhi. Because Tirmidhi says this at the end of his book. And he said, if Tirmidhi have said it, where is the isnad? Why? Because it's in the book of Tirmidhi, and we have the isnad for the book of Tirmidhi, we don't need isnad for it, because definitely Tirmidhi said it. And he said, if he has come to this conclusion from his understanding, like Ibn Salah came to this conclusion just by looking at the Tirmidhi. Like sometimes you read the book and you can understand. Bukhari has no introduction to his book, but by looking at the book you can understand what he means by looking all the hadith. You will see something that connects all the hadiths, that you will see his rules. So he said, if he has understood that from his istilah in the book, that is not true. He said, because many hadith, he will say this hadith is Hasan Gharib. So he said, in Tirmidhi, in his book, he will say this hadith is Hasan Gharib. It didn't come except from this narration. He said, if he says this hadith is Hasan and Gharib, it didn't come from except from this narration, then how it's possible that he will define Hasan if something that came from many different you see here he says this hadith is Hasan and Gharib. It didn't come except from this narration. And then in another place he will say hadith Hasan is a hadith that there is no liar in it, there is no it's not shadh, and it came from more than one narration. So how it contradicts each other? No, that is the hadith Hasan, and this is the Hasan Gharib. So he will say hadith Hasan. So the definition of Hasan Gharib will be hadith where there is no liar in it, and it's not shadh, but it came only from one narration. That is hadith Hasan Gharib. Yes. Understand? It's not. Yeah. So it is. There is no liar in it. So you have to keep the hadith Hasan. This is the. But he added to it the word Gharib to say. Yeah. So it came from only one narration. So he is still using the same. That is according to Tirmidhi. Still, that hadith, even hadith Sahih can fall into that category. Yes. It's not. There is no liar in it, and there is no. It's not shadh. So hadith sahih can fall into that category. So they don't have here. Up to here, he didn't give any proper definition of hadith hasan. And he will give some other different definitions for Hadith Hasan. He says تعريفات أخرى للحسن, other definitions of Hasan. He says Abu Amr ibn Salah said that some of the mutaakhirin, when we say mutaakhirin, in their time, in his time, the people, not the Mutaqaddimeen for him are Malik, Shu'ba, Ahmad, that is Mutaqaddimeen. And then his time, that is he called the Mutaakhirin. He said, some Mutaakhirin said the Hadith Hasan is the Hadith which is da'if. But the weakness in it is, the weakness of it, the weakness of the Hadith is weak. You understand?
Yeah.
You see, someone is sick, someone is healthy, and someone is sick. And someone is sick, but his sickness is weak, not strong.
Not as much as the other person was.
So if his sickness is weak, that means he is still healthy, like, you understand? So his weakness is weak. He says the weakness of the Hadith Hasan is a Hadith which is weak, but the weakness of the Hadith is weak. You understand? It's acceptable, like it's can, you understand? You see, you have a company, and then you are to employ people. You take only the healthy people, but someone comes and is weak. He's sick, but I don't think he's going to die, or his sickness will really will make him not work properly, or so we still take him. Say. That is, some people say this. So the hadith which is weak, but the weakness of it is not that bad, and it is, so that is the Hadith Hasan, and it is useful. You can take it and apply it in the religion. So that is the definition of some. Then
include the Albani Hadith opinion, yes?
No. That is when you go to that to understand how they make hadith, you will find that actually Albani misunderstood all of these things.
But when he defined it, he said this one here. But when he defined
No, he doesn't define it this way. He follows because Hadith Hasan is not one category. Hadith Hasan mostly is not the hadith which is Hasan for itself. Mostly is the hadith which is Hasan because of many narrations. That is most of the Hadith Hasan. If you look for the Hadith Sahiha of Albani, Silsila Sahiha, you will find that most of Hadith Hasan is not because the person is not good memory. No, because this hadith came from many narrations. Yes, and that is what made it Hasan, and that's why they have no proper definition. So some people will make it Sahih, or some people will make it Da'if. Not only that, the same person will make it Sahih and make it Da'if. And you see the Albani, for example, Silsila Sahiha, he has more than 700 hadith that are Sahih somewhere and Sahih Da'if somewhere else.
Why was Albani considered so strong then? Or is considered
because he was in a time when there was no people who speaks about hadith, but soon or later the people are, even his students, the people who not students, but they don't dare talk about him in that way because their books will be rejected. They answer to him, and like every one of his students, not students, people who say praise him, take a chunk of his hadith, like a part of his hadith, and answer to it. Soon people will realize that, oh, actually that Silsila Sahih, all of it is da'ifa. So what is they all praise him. This is the Sheikh of Muhaddithin, this is, and then every one of them take a book and he answer back. Later someone will come and say, okay, look, he is the most knowledgeable, everybody here praise him, they all like him, but now everybody, if we take what they have said, the whole books don't make sense, you understand? You find this Abu Tariq Awadullah from Egypt, Abu Mu'adh, he is one of the student of Albani, but he answered Albani, and he is very strong compared to Albani. At least this person, he followed the rules of the Mutaqaddimeen. I mean, he followed the rules, he doesn't bring rules, but at least he understands them. When Albani and Ahmed Shakir before him And all that generation, when they came, it was time when there was no hadith, so quickly they read the books, they started, so it was like a long time people have not looked at the book of hadith, so they made this mistake and then they kept it, you understand? Later, these people had time to read and to look and to search, and they were under pressure as well. And Albani doesn't deny that he was under pressure to finish books quickly, because he had what we call deadlines, he had agreements. If he doesn't finish the book, he will not get paid, he will have to pay money, as you understand. So he had these conditions from the people, so he doesn't have time to read. He was teaching people before he goes and read himself. You understand? He read various basics books on hadith. But that is sooner or later will come to the surface. I mean, there are some people who clearly criticize him, and when it was 1, 2, 3 people, he could have won with them. But now that many people reading hadith, and they have to answer back. You understand? Or they will be looking like stupid. Yeah. You understand? They know, and then they say, why are we going to hide this? Why are we going to make him look good? And then we will look bad, because if they say something and they will contradict themselves, they see that there are some people who are just reading the books to look for a person to write. So they are afraid of doing that, so they have to criticize him to get. And soon, like, there are so many names that I myself I don't read, but he brings me books when we talk, and then he goes and he reads the books. He come out, like, I found the same thing there in the books. Milli Bari, this Tariq Awadullah, this Zubair Dahan, Abu Khubza, so many. The answer to Albani, and soon these people, because they are also now, they have started writing books, and people read their books and they understood them, they became famous. Soon people will realize that these books are worthless. There were some books at one time. There is a book of Al-Ahkam, Abd al-Haq al-Ishbili. When this book came to the existence, this is from Ishbilia, from Spain. When his book came, Abd al-Haq al-Ishbili is a cross between, he is not of a madhab, really. He is like every madhab. And when he wrote his book, at the beginning was his book like, he was in his time, Abd al-Haq al-Ishbili, nobody speaks about someone else.
When was he alive?
Just before, after Ibn Hazm.
Okay.
So when he came to his book, Kitab al-Ahkam, his book like he was in his time like Albani today, for people. And Ibn Qattan al-Fasi came later and looked at the book, explained that this is a mistake, this is a mistake, this is a mistake. And then nobody hears about Abd al-Haq al-Ishbili anymore. No, people who study hadith and stuff, they look, because he is not that really that bad. He still has his opinions, but the fact that he was like considered to be the only one, nobody like him, and that is something that people exaggerate. There is nobody like the only one, and nobody, he will never make mistake, and this is all exaggerations of people. You should never consider someone to be like, he's never going to make a mistake, everything that he says is right. Everybody, you have to listen to what he says, and if you can understand it, you take it. If you can't understand it, you have to look to other people as well, to hear from other people. Now the Sheikh says, Ibn Abi Salah, regarding the definition which this mutaakhir have said, hadith which is weak, but the weakness of it is weak. So he said, if you look at the definition, he said this is not clear. It doesn't give you a clear answer. Ibn Salah says. He said, and whatever Tirmidhi and Khattabi have mentioned, there is no line between Sahih and Hasan. Like the definition of Khattabi and Tirmidhi will cover also what is Sahih. You understand? Yeah. And he said, whatever this man said, that it is weak, but it's not that weak. So okay, it's weak but not very weak. What is it then? So how, you understand? Okay, Hadith Hasan is weak but not very weak. So how much it should be weak to be weak, and how much it should not be to be Hasan? It's not like there is no you understand? And there is no like measurement or he says, and they have looked at this and I searched properly, and then what it has been clarified to me that Hadith Hasan is two category. Now Ibn Salah he gives his own definition that Hadith Hasan is two different categories. He says first is the Hadith which is in the Isnad. The Isnad must have someone who is Mastur. Mastur is someone, when you say this person is Mastur, according to the Muhaddithin, is covered. Meaning, we don't know anything bad about him when it comes to the character. But not enough people have narrated from him. Neither he has a lot of hadith. You understand?
Mastur.
Yeah, Mastur. So when you say satara, satr, making cover, so this person they say is Mastur. Like, he's not Majhul, he is better than Majhul. Majhul is someone that one person narrated from him, yeah, or two people narrated from him. So if one person narrated this, some people will say this person is actually, the existence of him is doubtful. If more than one person narrated from him, they say he's still, we don't know his like his attitude, his behavior, like his character, whether good character or bad character. But when more than two people, 3, 4, and we still have no idea about him, they call him Mastur rather than Majhul. Unknown, Mastur, covered, like, you understand? So they say this is the hadith that the man of the chain would have at least one Mastur, that you don't know whether he is able to narrate hadith or not. You don't know if he, however, he is not someone who is heedless or mughaffal, stupid, make a lot of mistakes. Neither he has been accused of being a liar. And whatever he has narrated, whatever the matan, the hadith has narrated, this hadith should have been narrated from someone else with a similar chain of narrators. Not similar meaning the same people, but yeah, this chain of narrators, there is in it someone who is Mastur, not someone who makes mistakes, a lot of mistakes. He is not trustworthy fully, but he is not da'if, he is not liar. He is someone Mastur. The character, we don't know anything bad about him. Enough people have narrated from him, but we can't really judge him whether he is trustworthy or not. And similar isnad, we have similar isnad to this that narrates the same hadith. So these two same isnad, this hadith isnad which is with a mastur in it, and another isnad with a mastur in it, both together will make this hadith stronger.
Two masturs.
Yeah, with two mastur here and mastur here, this will make it hasan. You understand? So that is the definition of he said by that, if it's narrated from another narration as well, similar narration, then it goes out of being shadh or munkar. It's not any longer shadh, odd or munkar. What is shadh? I gave you the example of shadh earlier, Yahya bin Saied contradicting Malik, or yeah. So one trustworthy contradicting people who are more trustworthy than him. So the hadith of Yahya bin Saied became shadh when he said, the Prophet said that a woman should not cover her face. We say that is hadith shadh.
And he misunderstood Nakhi. He misunderstood Nakhi.
Yeah, we say this hadith, what do you call this hadith? We call it shadh, and shadh is da'if. Actually it is weaker than the da'if. according to the majority, because the da'if, they say the da'if is doubtful. They say is da'if, weak person narrated it, and this weak person sometimes get it right. But when it comes to shadh, they say now it's not that there is now Malik and Ubaidullah, when they narrated the opposite, have confirmed that this hadith never existed. You understand? They have confirmed that this hadith is a mistake. So shadh is one weak, and the people who take weak plus weak equal to sahih, they don't say shadh plus shadh equal to sahih. They say shadh doesn't exist. It's like a mistake. It is the mistake of it exists in the head of Layth ibn Sa'd. It doesn't exist somewhere else.
We say in reality.
So that is the shadh. And then there is, he said, if the hadith, he said then if the hadith come from two different narrations and connected with a person, the same, there is a person here who is not that strong, covered, but it's not very strong, but we don't know that he is makes mistakes and he is not liar. And the same thing on the other hadith. He said now the two of them will make this hadith Hasan. These two narrations together will make this hadith Hasan. He said and by that this hadith is no longer shadh and no longer munkar. What is munkar? Munkar is same as shadh, except that shadh is trustworthy contradicting the trustworthy. The munkar is when the weak contradict the trustworthy. You see, when Malik two people narrate hadith and one trustworthy contradict them, we say definitely we go with the two people. Two people, when it comes to narrations, not to understanding, when it comes to narration, two people are more likely to memorize than one person. The understanding is different. One person might understand what 1,000 don't understand. But when it comes to narration, three people come and tell you something happened. The one person say, it happened in a different way. Who are you going to listen to? Provided they are trustworthy. You are going to listen to the three people. Because actually narrations, memorizing is, even if you take it from the point of view, if you don't take it from point of, if you don't say this is, it makes sense. If you don't take it just from point of, it makes sense that two will have better memory than one, then you can say it. If we take it from the religion as well point of view, then there is hadith from Umar bin Khattab that the shaitan is with the one and he is farther from two, farthest from two. And who makes you forget? Shaitan. وَمَا أَنْسَانِهُ إِلَّا شَيْطَانًا أَذْكُرَهُ. Shaitan made me forget it. So the shaitan makes, so if he is farther from two and closer to one,
so there's less chance to forget.
So it's less chance to forget. Then, so he says, and the talk of Tirmidhi, the definition of Tirmidhi should be taken this way, on this understanding. Now Ibn Salah said Tirmidhi, what definition, we should understand it in this way. When he said the hadith Hasan is the hadith that comes from two different narrations, of more than one narration. He said he meant, and he said it's not shadh, it's not, there is no liar in it. He said this is what he meant. There is no shadh, there is no liar, but also what he tried to add here, what he added, that the person is not strong enough. There is one person, Tirmidhi didn't say that. Now he added that, he said at least one person is not strong in the hadith, in the isnad. So, you understand? Said now Ibn Kathir say we can't put it that way because of what you have said. Now we don't know what he refers to. That Tirmidhi never said this. Probably that's what he meant. He said we can't refer the saying of Tirmidhi to what he has said, and he probably saying that Tirmidhi never said that definition because Ibn Kathir didn't know that Tirmidhi have said this definition, which is in the book of Tirmidhi at the end, in the book of Ilal. He said, and the second definition The second definition of Hadith Hasan, the second part of Hadith Hasan, is that it is the narration of those who are famous with trust. That is the people who are famous with trust, and not to be liars. They are truthful and they are trusted, famous of that. But their memorization is not equal to those who have reached of the people of that is not good enough to be called sahih. Now, when we have spoken earlier, we said there is yaqeen, and yaqeen is different. There is yaqeen better than yaqeen. Sure, you are sure, and then you are more sure, but you are still sure. That is, and then if that goes down, it becomes doubt. It is possible that some person will say, yeah, there is trustworthy people and there is more trustworthy people. There is Malik and there is Layth ibn Sa'd, for example. But Layth ibn Sa'd, there is no doubt about his memory, about him memorizing the hadith, but there are people who are better than him. But then there are people who are not trustworthy. They forget. So if they forget, that is doubt. So what he is referring here, he said these people, the Hadith Hasan is someone that is known. Trustworthy, he is trustworthy. He doesn't lie. He is not known to be a fasiq. So we reject his hadith. However, when it comes to memorization, his hadith, and we find a lot of people in this category. They were known in their time. Fulayh bin Sulaiman, for example, Sharik bin Abdullah Al-Qadi.
Sorry, you said they're not known to be fasiq, but they have good memory.
Bad memory. Their memory is not bad, very bad, but they are not as good as the people who should be considered sahih. So we have to still have a bit of doubt. We still have, we can't just take their hadith, we have to watch them. You understand? They make mistakes from time to time. They make mistakes. You understand? It's not like they made a mistake. No, they make mistakes continuously. So you have to watch when to take them or not.
Do you look for patterns? Like if they're weak from certain other people?
No, here the mastur, the person who is mastur, he is not very famous. He is not that people. He will have to have someone else with him. So both of them, they will form Hadith Hasan. You understand? One narration together.
Does he say the same with this?
But here, no. Here he says this person because he is known, famous to be trustworthy. But his memory is not that good. There are many people who fall into this category that Bukhari narrates from them or Muslim. But Bukhari will narrate from them in a different way. I will explain this when we come to Hadith Hasan li ghayrihi, because it's a little bit complicated, but it is. So he says these people are trustworthy but not that trustworthy. Like they known, they make mistakes, not one mistake, not you find that they make mistakes all the time. You understand? But also they are not known to be very weak. Like sometimes they get it right. They get it right. Especially these judges, for example. The judge, Sharik bin Abdullah Qadi, he was a judge. People will go, like people trusted him, made him a judge, and he used to judge between people, you understand? So this is one person that people will say his hadith is Hasan. Abdul Aziz ibn Muhammad Darawardi, when he looks at his hadith, if you follow his hadith, in many places they will say, oh, he contradicted, hadith rejected. People have said this, he has said this, he rejected. But not really. So that is according to the previous people. They will judge this person to be, when we say previous people, is the Mutaqaddimeen, yes. And some of them will take that hadith, they will say, we don't reject these people hadith. Ibn Hibban, Al-Hakim, Ibn Khuzaymah, people who came after them, Daraqutni, they will call this hadith Hasan.
Is it the only way though to know that this person has not made a mistake with their memory by being backed up by something sahih?
No, that is not this kind. The first category that we mentioned, he will say if they have been backed up. But this category here, he says whatever he narrates, his hadith is Hasan. They will categorize it directly without having any other person with him. They will put it as Hasan to be taken, as long as it's not munkar, it doesn't contradict someone trustworthy, it's not shadh, and there is no defection in it. You understand?
But I'm saying for us, if we know this person has mistake with his memory, he's not untrustworthy but with his memory, then we look at it. If there's nothing sahih to back it up, how do we say it's
if the hadith is sahih or is not sahih, if there is anything, this hadith that comes from such person should be considered to be doubtful and therefore rejected,
because we know he has problems,
because you have his problem with his memory, we don't know, so you have to leave it aside, and you don't, this hadith will have either it has no effect on the religion or it has. What is has no effect on the religion? Such hadith, you will not find such hadith for example, hadith like this: Allah ordered us to do something, prayer or give zakat, and you find hadith just like this that explains how to give zakat or how to pray. You understand? We will be in problem. We will say, look, we have to pray. Allah said you have to pray. And then this is the only hadith that explains to us how to pray. You understand? So if we find something like this, we will be, however, you don't really find something like this. The other place where you can find hadith like this is hadith that will make something haram. Everything is halal, so you don't take this person. You will find hadith from this person saying, for example, that the Prophet have done so and so. The Prophet has drunk from, the Prophet used to do siwak vertically. Does it really matter if this hadith is not there? You can do it vertically, horizontally. It's up to you how you do it. So that doesn't. It's not the Prophet have drunk from the water. No, he said, "Do you have water, or I'm going to drink like karah, like I'm going to put my mouth on the vessel and drink like this." Does it matter? You can't drink like that. Does it? Understand? He was doing kuhl, or he was cutting his hair in a way. All this kind of hadith, it doesn't matter. Understand? Or so you don't take it, and it's still halal. Or if it says it's haram, then it's a problem. It contradicts the rule that everything is halal until proven to be haram. وَقَدْ فَصَّلَ لَكُمْ مَا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ. It has been explained to you. He has explained to you. He had detailed to you what is forbidden. So he comes and says this is forbidden. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't sit in this way. Well, it is not detailed except from someone like this. Then you shouldn't take it. So it contradicts this ayah. It contradicts the ayah that says that everything is halal. He has created for you whatever in the land. So here he says, and this is what the saying of Khattabi, what Khattabi means. Now he explained, Ibn Salah tried to explain the saying of the Tirmidhi, and he added the word there. He added the word. He said what Tirmidhi said. Tirmidhi said that the hadith should not be coming from a liar. It's not shadh, and it comes from one narration, more than one narration. So he added to that. He said, even though Tirmidhi didn't say it, but probably it looks like he has meant that as long as it comes from two narrations which are not really strong. You understand? So he explained it, and then he went to the definition of Khattabi earlier, that hadith that is known, the makhraj of it is known. It it's known where it comes from, and the men are not that famous. The men are famous, and the makhraj of it is known. So he added to it, he explained it, he said, the people are trustworthy, known to be trustworthy, not liars, not fasiq, but their memorization is not very perfect, you understand? So, and whatever they narrate is not munkar, is not ma'lul, is not shadh. So they said this kind of people, their hadith should be considered hasan. So that is, you can say that is this definition here is the definition that people take it, that people takes. You understand? No, the definition of Ibn Salah. This definition with some modifications. They have added some conditions, and they have, you understand? Well, however, the only problem is that the people of today misunderstood something. They misunderstood. They thought everything that is weak, you can't take it. They forgot that the question about ma'lul and shadh, they didn't took at these two conditions, that shadh, odd, and ma'lul can never be gain any strength according to even to the previous ones. If you follow their rules, Ibn Salah and Ibn Kathir, and if you did, they took these definitions, but then they missed some stuff, some conditions that hadith should not be ma'lul or shadh, because ma'lul and shadh, you have already decided that it doesn't exist. It's not only da'if, only da'if is where the majority will say is doubtful. So if it comes from another narration, it will be stronger. But the hadith which is shadh, it has been proved to be not existing. You understand? I give you example here. Let's say Khalid is weak memory, and then he comes and tell us something. We have doubt about it. Did he memorize it? Maybe he made a mistake, maybe he didn't hear properly. He is known, for example, to sometimes say something and this, for example, you understand? So that is weak. So people will say, oh, but it doesn't mean it is wrong. Maybe he said it, sometimes he says something is right, and sometimes he is wrong. And this time we don't know. It is still possible that it is what he is saying is true. But now, that is what we call da'if. But let's say we have three people, Ismail and Amin and Yasser. Three of them are trustworthy. That's an example. And then Ismail and Amin will say something. Both of them will say something. And Yasser comes and say the same story. They came and then they said, we were in the mosque in Shepherd's Bush, and the Imam said, there is no prayer next Jum'ah on this mosque. Next Jum'ah we are going to pray, you understand, in Acton, because this mosque will be closed. Yasser comes and say, the Imam of Shepherd's Bush prayed, and then he said, next Jum'ah we will go to Acton and then come back and pray in Shepherd's Bush. Now this is contradicting. Definitely one of them is right. Either they are going to, it's not possible that this one person who is not crazy have said that we are going to pray in Acton the Jum'ah and pray also in Shepherd's Bush. It's one of these. So either these people are wrong or this person. So who is more likely to be wrong? One person or two? The one person is more likely to be wrong. Especially that this person came by himself and this person came by himself. One person was sitting in the first row, the other person was sitting in the last row. You understand? How did they come to make the same story together? The same. If you tell me this is for the Hasan as well, how for the Hasan? No, we are talking about trustworthy people here. You understand? People who are trustworthy. People can get mixed up sometimes, yes. And we find so many hadith that comes from different places, and everybody will agree these hadith are weak. We will talk about that when we come to Hadith Hasan lighayrihi. You understand? So what he is saying here, so now when these two people or three, probably 10, have said something that contradicts that one person, we know now that what he has said is baseless, doesn't exist at all. We don't have anymore the doubt that, oh, maybe he has said. The doubt is gone. That's why we call it shadh. We say that hadith, what he says didn't happen at all. When Khalid, for example, when we called it da'if, we said, oh, maybe he is right, maybe he is not. But him, when he say became shadh, even though he is trustworthy, his hadith became rejected. So we are not going to say, okay, let's see. We say, okay, Khalid said something, nobody contradicted it. Now we see, if someone comes and says the same thing, we will be sure about it. Him, no, we don't. Now if someone says, why don't you do this with the religion? About what Khalid, for example, if Khalid comes, someone comes and says same story, you are going to accept it. That is something that we will talk about when we come to Hadith Hasan and explain why the hadith there is a really difference. First, that the religion is protected, but also the mistakes in hadith are different from the mistakes of other people talk. And we will talk about this in Hadith Hasan lighayrihi, when it comes from more than one narration. Because Hasan lidhatihi, Hadith Hasan for itself, is already doubtful. The Hadith Hasan lighayrihi is doubt plus doubt equal to yaqeen. You understand? And the truth is, when we say, you see, if we put it the way the philosophers would like to put it, but it's not like, this is just a way of talking. Someone tells you doubt plus doubt equal to a certainty, say no. Like one goat plus one goat, it doesn't equal to one cow. It's two goats. Everything when you put two things together, one thing, it adds you two of that kind. And this doesn't give you one. You understand? One bedroom flat plus one bedroom flat, it doesn't equal to two bedroom flat. It equals to two bedroom flat. Two one bedroom flat. You understand? One weak person plus one weak person, it doesn't give you one strong person. It gives you two weak people. You understand? So, but that is a question of philosophy. That has nothing to do with reality. We are not going to talk about Hadith Hasan lighayrihi, because mixing a lot of things in one place, you get confused. Now, Abu Amr ibn Salah say, when hadith comes from many narrations, not necessarily is Hasan. Sometimes Hadith Hasan. Now this is where they have to give a rule. They say hadith, when it comes from one narration, two narrations, is considered to be Hasan. One comes from two narrations. You understand? Weak and weak equal to Hasan, or Hasan and weak equal to Hasan. It gives more strength. But now this, he said, for example, he gave the hadith udunani min al-ra's. The ears are part of the head. Now this hadith has 10 different narrations. One narration of this hadith, 10 different narrations that the Prophet said the ears are part of the head. Now only one hadith of these 10 hadiths, such as hadith of Shu'ba bin Al-Hajaj from Abi Umama, will be considered by people like Ahmad Shakir and Albani and those mutaakhirin, should be considered, this hadith should be considered to be Hasan. Only the hadith of Shu'ba bin Al-Hajaj from the Abi Umama. And then there is another 9 narrations to back it up. all weak. Still, the majority of the Huffaz before, just to show you the difference between the previous people and the last people, consider this hadith to be weak. And there is so many hadith like this, that Ahmad bin Hanbal, Ishaq bin Rahaweh, Ali bin al-Madini will say this hadith is weak. Hadith that if there is no wudu for someone who doesn't say Bismillah. As-Suyuti say that there is 52 narrations, different narrations to this hadith. Ahmad bin Hanbal would have known at least 20 of these 52 hadith, or let's say 10, but he still say the hadith of is da'if. The hadith of putting your fingers through your toes and your when you do wudu, or to your beard. So many narrations. They still, people muhaddithin, Ahmad bin Hanbal and his time, Ibn Ma'in, Ibn Madini, they say this hadith, Abu Hatim al-Razi, Abu Zur'a, they say this hadith is weak. So just to see the difference between the manhaj of, it is enough for Ahmad Shakir and Ghimari and Habib al-Rahman al-A'zami and Wadi'i, Albani and all this category. 2-3 generations of this will make this hadith sahih. This is the hadith that says La wasiyata li warith. There is no wasiyah, there is no will for someone who will inherit. So if someone in the Sharia will inherit, when someone dies, some people will inherit, some people will not. For example, if there is a man has children, his brothers will not inherit, and his sisters. If he has no children, no parents, then the brothers will inherit. So in this case, according to this hadith, which is narrated by maybe well, if we consider all the narrations, now Bayhaqi say 18 narration, mentions 18 narration. If we take this hadith now, the meaning of this hadith, if someone has a share in inheritance, someone like died and he has left children and brothers, children will not have a will according to this hadith, because they will have inheritance. The children inherit in all cases, and the father and mother inherit in all cases, except for some cases if they are kafir and the father is Muslim, or the father is Muslim and they are kafir. So but in other cases they will inherit anyway. So the brothers will have share in they can have will, but not the children. If the person has no children, no father, then the will is forbidden for the brothers, because they will have, according to this hadith, which has come from so many narrations. Tahawi will mention most of these narrations and he will say this hadith is weak. And if you take one hadith, Albani made this hadith sahih by one narration, only one narration. He said this hadith is sahih, not only sahih according to the condition of Bukhari. When the hadith is like shouting, I am weak. You understand? The hadith is Al-Walid ibn Muslim Mudallis, who plays with the wording. He said, Walid ibn Muslim is Mudallis. What he does? He play with the wording. So how what he does? He will mention, he said like this. He said, Abdurrahman bin Yazid ibn Jabir and someone else, Allahu A'lam who is someone else, told me. And you know when Mudallis what he does? He play with the wording. What he meant, Abdurrahman bin Yazid ibn Jabir and someone else told me that you understand? This is how he does, because he play. So it was not Abdurrahman bin Yazid bin Jabir. Abdurrahman bin Yazid bin Jabir told him nothing. Someone else told him. And this is how he is known to do this kind of tadlis. So he came to his narration. He said, I found the narration that nobody before me found it. And it is sahih according to the condition of Bukhari, and this hadith is sahih. He is not, this hadith, everybody knows this hadith. You understand? But the question of, you have to know what you are talking about. So this hadith is da'if. And you look at the Tahawi and the Bayhaqi, after they have mentioned all these hadith, they said this hadith is weak. So 18 narration is not enough to make the hadith sahih. When someone like we make it sahih with one narration. And that is the difference between the people previous and actually the hadith. So it was the opinion of the majority of the previous people that Hadith Hasan لغيره doesn't exist. If Ahmad bin Hanbal, there is 2 hadith where he said that he will consider them to be sahih. He said there is 2 hadith, أفطر الحاجم والمحجوم, that the Prophet came by someone doing hijama to someone in Ramadan. And this hadith, and then the Prophet said, the one who is doing hijama and the one who is the hijama is being done to, both of them have broken their fast. You can see how weird is this hadith. If someone is doing hijama or someone, he has broken his fast. And someone is doing, the person who is doing hijama, according to the majority, okay, something coming from his body, blood. So they will probably say, but the one who is doing hijama to him, you understand? I mean, this hadith will not be accepted except if it's narrated by. And what you wonder about is this hadith coming from more than 10 different narrations. Why all the trustworthy people didn't hear about it? I mean, if it's so famous, why didn't it come through one of these people who were, their business was to follow the hadith and find the hadith sahih? Why they didn't find any of this narration from the trustworthy people? Why it comes only from the weak people? Sometimes you find trustworthy people narrating it, but from where? From the weak people. Why they don't want to narrate it from the trustworthy people they were narrating from? Why they don't find it with them? You understand? And the words, Ahmad bin Hanbal came to these 2 hadith, this one, and the other one is, there is nothing, there is debatable actually, that there is no nikah, there is no marriage except with wali. He said these 2 hadith, I take what I take them. He said, I don't say I take them like accept them. He say whatever it says, I accept it. Like I say that the one who does the cupping and the one who is the cupping is done to, both of them their fasting is broken. You understand? And he says also that the marriage without wali is not acceptable. He said, even though he considered the hadith to be da'if, he said, but because so many hadith narrations, this is the only place where Ahmad bin Hanbal is known to have considered hadith da'if to be strong. Probably for the marriage, because he just wants probably to take the safest option. And regarding this hadith of cupping, is narrated by trustworthy people. Not like from weak people. If you look at it, it's trustworthy people. Except by the weakness in it is because the person who narrates it, Abu Qilaba, the majority of narrations come from him, and he is mudallis, but he is trustworthy. And his tadlis, they say his tadlis is not that bad. So probably that's what made him get confused regarding the hadith. So Abu Umar ibn Salah, he said the hadith coming from many narrations doesn't automatically make it sahih or hasan. He said that because weakness is not similar. Some weakness is stronger than others. He says some hadith is weak, but very weak, to the point that doesn't. Yeah. So he said because weakness is differs from one hadith to another. So whether there is someone who follows or another narration or there isn't, it doesn't change anything. He said, and he gave the example of the ears being from the head, part of the head. So that hadith will have an impact on religion if the The majority of the fuqaha, the majority including the four madhahib and the zahiris, say if you wipe on your head, you don't have to wipe all your head. You just if you pass your head, part of it, like some of them say 3 fingers, some of them say a finger, some of them one hair. So if that hadith is sahih, then okay, if the ears are part of the head, then you just have to wash your ears. You understand? You don't have to wash your head. So it's not like, oh, it doesn't make any difference. It might make some difference. So, but they say about this hadith, it's not sahih. I told you that one narration only can be considered to be Hasan. The narration of Shahr bin Hawshab narrated by Tirmidhi. So he said, for example, the narration that will not be strengthened, even though it comes from different narration, many narration, he said that like narration of the liars, kadhabin or matrukin. Matrukin, someone is called matruk, is left, because maybe he is not abundant, because his narration is abundant. You don't need to look at it at all. That is because the person, you can't accuse him of being a liar. You don't have strong evidence, but he is closer. Maybe he is in that region, or he makes a lot of mistakes that he doesn't know what he says. He just say anything, understand? So that is called matruk. He said, and there is weakness that if it comes from another narration, that weakness will go away. He said, such as when someone he has bad memory, or the hadith has been narrated as mursal. That in that case, mursal means broken between the tabi'i and the prophet, so we don't know where he got it from. He said, if this hadith comes from another narration, then it will be strengthened. That is the opposite of the opinion of Shafi'i, which is widely accepted. Shafi'i say the hadith mursal will not really be accepted except with very hard conditions, that if you take those conditions, that he will say it can never be strengthened. I mean, he makes some conditions, but if you take them, if you think about it, you will find that it's not possible that you can meet these conditions. We will come to that later. We say, so a hadith, if in that case, if it's weak, and it's not very weak, and it comes from another narration, he said that we will take it from being weak to become Hasan or Sahih. And this is the end of this part, and then he will talk about the books where you can find Hadith Hasan. We'll do it inshallah next week. So you understand a little bit what is Hasan here. When we spoke about Sahih, the chain narrators all trustworthy. Hasan here, one of these narrators or more. And this is another place where the majority make a mistake when they speak about Hadith Hasan. You see, say, chain of narrators, if they are all people trustworthy, then this hadith is sahih. If there is one whose memory is so and so, like 50-50, that is what you can translate it to. Like he is 50%. They say, look, if this person is 50% or 25% has good memory, the other part is bad memory. It's not, and then they don't limit it to one person. If in the chain of narrators there is 4 such people, Hasan Hadith, Hasan, someone who is Hasan from someone who is Hasan, they refer to them as Saduq. So if Saduq rather than Thiqa, trustworthy. So if Saduq narrates from Saduq, from Saduq, from Saduq, they will still consider this hadith to be Hasan. Now what they say, look, this person is 50-50 chance that he is right and 50 chance that he is wrong. If you look at it, if you count it now, this hadith is 200% wrong. It's 50% plus 50% plus 50%. So he's 200% weak. But the majority don't differ between one wrong person, one weak person in the isnad and 2 people and 3. They still. So